குக்கரி சேனலை பார்த்து யார் வேணாலும் சமையல் பண்ணலாம். ஆனா சுவையான சமையல் பண்றது எப்படி? நான் இதயம் நல்லெண்ணெயில சமையல் பண்றேன். ஆஹா ஓஹோன்னு பாராட்டுறாங்க. நீங்களும் இதயம் நல்லெண்ணெயில சமையல் பண்ணுங்க, பாராட்ட வாங்குங்க.
தினம் தோறும் வாங்குவே இதயம் இதயம்.
Shri Nitin Gokhale, distinguished panelists, officers and veterans, distinguished members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. And after 2 o'clock, generally the graph keeps going down, and I am told there is no break also before this, but after this I am told is a tea break. So that's a good encouragement. So to begin with, great to see that how the India Defence Conclave is bringing together military leaders, industry pioneers, innovators and policymakers. And as it completes a decade, its expanding scale and influence mirror India's emergence as a confident and credible voice in global security affairs. I personally also complete my association with Nitin, because I remember similar time frame I met him in Army War College when we used to conduct the exercise together. Oh, great to see Air Chief Marshal sir. I thought you had gone out, so I didn't address you. So to continue with this story, amid this dynamic exchange of ideas, the theme of my talk today is future war fighting, concept to capabilities. Now how it becomes important, because this is turning vision into value, means walking the path from concept to capability. And if you look into it, it embodies two inseparable dimensions. First, the evolving form of the warfare, and second, the conversion of emerging operational concepts into credible and decisive capabilities. Basically, it means bridging imagination with implementation. So the canvas is very big. I'll try and keep it small. So let me first dwell on the first pillar of our theme, form and domains of warfare. And as B.H. Littleheart observes, the profoundest truth of war is that it forms are never constant. So if we, for instance, consider the age of sail and empire, also referred to as age of colonialism, naval power was the foremost symbol of strength. By mid-20th century, the two world wars shifted the center of gravity skyward, where air power emerged as a significant instrument influencing the tempo and reach of operations across theaters. And of course, Normandy landing made sure all three come together, which saw a massive coordinated air, sea and of course the land invasion in 1944. So in our time, the form of warfare itself becomes so fluid that conflict is no longer bounded by the battlefields, is diffused, dispersed and pervasive. And Russian General Valery Gerasimov observed that modern wars now follow a ratio of 4:1 for non-military to military actions. The essence of hybrid warfare which we are witnessing today. So when we talk about this strategic partnership, we are looking at long-term manufacturing and that guaranteed support. The issue will always remain that we may give the guaranteed support, but the requirement of that particular equipment may no longer exist after 5 to 7 years. So that also has to be understood by all of us. So yet, amid all these trends of warfare, one factor always remains constant. That is, land remains the currency of victory. Other domains operations may destroy or disrupt, but in Indian context, land domain looks at destruction, eviction, occupation and control. The outcomes that are physical, political and psychological. You have seen the negotiations in Ukraine and Gaza, which reinforce the importance of the same. So if wars keep changing in form, the next question is, how do nations or militaries translate evolving ideas into real war fighting capabilities? And as Clausewitz observed, everything in war is very simple, but the simplest thing is difficult. The actualization of war fighting capability is a complex and cumulative process, a continuum of conceptualization, experimentation, development and acquisition, and it demands 3 T's: thought, technology and tenacity. Let's take example of main battle tank. Conceived to restore mobility in static trench warfare, needed 2 decades of sustained design, experimentation, doctrinal evolution. Only then it emerged as the defining instruments of maneuver on land. Closer home, India's guided missile program flagship, the Agni missile system, reflects how a strategic idea matured into enduring capability. Envisioned in the 80s as a pillar of credible deterrence, it evolved through indigenous research, scientific rigor, and sustained national resolve into a family of long-range precision systems that safeguard India's strategic autonomy. So the history of warfare shows that while ideas may be conceived within the military, their realization extends far beyond it. An honorable Prime Minister during the Combined Commanders Conference September 25 encapsulated this spirit when he gave the mantra of Jai, that is jointness, that integrates our effort, Atmanirbharta empowers our capability, and innovation transforms ideas into action. So, what are the enduring essentials that make the mantra translate into credible warfare capabilities? I'll just list out 5 or 6 of them. And the first would be the intent, which is the catalyst of capability. So, do we in India have it? The answer is yes. In abundance. Our early nuclear program, space program, missile program, the recent chip manufacturing initiative are all evidences of strong intent. In the defense budget for financial year 25-26, rupees 1.8 lakh crore, that's approximately 26%, is allocated to capital outlay. These investments reflect not just numbers, but a national intent to stimulate and catalyze the growth of a cross-domain Atmanirbharta ecosystem. So the intent must also be cognitive with longevity. It means whatever intent we have promulgated, it should have a longevity like we have our decade of transformation 2032. And be ready to accept change, make new structures, and overcome preconceptions. The second is the ecosystem. The enabler of efficiency. If intent sets the direction, is the ecosystem that delivers the outcome. An ecosystem in the context of capability development is the framework of reforms that turn strategic intent into executable strength. The year of reforms 2025, launched by the Honorable Raksha Mantri, makes a decisive step towards aligning defense process with the national vision of Atmanirbharta. Under its aegis, the defense acquisition procedure, that is DAP 2020, is being comprehensively revised. And the biggest advantage is that at this point of time, we are ready to change. Since it is part of the year of reforms, every suggestion which is there is a welcome change. It is being discussed and it is being incorporated. The new Defense Procurement Manual, DPM 2025, has already been released and it is aimed at simplifying and accelerating acquisition procedures while ensuring ease of doing business. And to promulgate and enlighten everyone, there is a seminar also planned in due future where the financial advisors, the industry, academia, and everybody gets to know that how these two major documents are going to make the change. The third would be the research and development. The engine of evolution, if the ecosystem defines the environment, R&D outlines its edges. Since IDEX and everything would have already been discussed, I'll not cover that. I'll just say that industry must invest in emerging technologies, AI, cyber quantum, unmanned autonomous system, space and advanced materials. Not only to meet future operational needs, but also to power India's manufacturing growth and defense exports. The proof is visible in indigenous systems like the Akash AD, ATAC guns and light tank Zorawar. And what we are looking at, a full automation and manned-unmanned teams, because that's what is the future. The manpower will remain constant, but the efficiency of the same manpower with the exploitation of the equipment has to go 1.5 to 2 times. And that is what we are expecting from the industry to help us out, other than the exact hardware. However, we need to now move from experimentation to enterprise-scale innovation, and the time is actually running short. The private sector in pharma and automobiles are set to invest nearly 10,000 crore annually in R&D, but the defense R&D lacks at approximately 100 to 200 crores only. Therefore, a gap that must close in if India is to design and deliver its own cutting-edge defense capability. Fourthly, the strategic partnerships. The bridge of opportunity. While R&D builds what we can create, strategic partnership expand what we can access. In a world of complex threats, no nation stands secure alone. Shared defense innovation is the strongest shield. Certain technologies will never come to us on a platter. Need is to collaborate under terms of shared benefits and local control. The shining examples are BrahMos and K9 Vajra. What is more important for any R&D's effort is from 0 to 1. Once it becomes from 0 to 1, from 1 to 100, it becomes that much easier because then it requires replication, modification and upgradation. So So that 0 to 1 is something we need to focus. If not, then we need to get it from somewhere outside. Fifthly, military-civil fusion. The troika of transformation. If strategic partnership reflects collaboration abroad, military-civil fusion must anchor it at home. I have often emphasized and re-emphasized it here again. There's the troika of academia, industry and the military that must achieve deep cross-domain synergy. Well, academia innovates, the industry must incubate, and the military must imbibe these innovations. We in the army have shared our innovations and are constantly reaching out, sharing concepts, outreaching through our coordination agencies, onboarding ourselves in national technology missions, making equipment and ranges available to the industry, funding startups. We are doing a lot and we'll be happy to do more. And finally, the passion. Between imagination and implementation lies the passion, the force that gives life to ideas. A mission mode, no rest till we reach approach will be needed for maybe next 10 to 15 years. Only then we'll be able to put in place a resident architecture which will enable us to think ahead with pioneering concepts and also have the means to test and implement them. So what are we doing about it? If I can just summarize certain issues or the initiatives, for transforming vision into value, we have declared decade of transformation. We have 5 pillars, that is force restructure, modernization, jointness and integration, system process functions, and of course the HR upgrade, that the human resource upgrade, are being concurrently provided impetus or nudge as applicable. If I can say that the academia and industry playing a major role in it. Ensuring synergized research and development with Troika, whether it's a ASMI weapon or drone manufacturing. Our 2.5 front challenge and post-op Sindoor empowerment in terms of financial empowerment which we have got is giving us more flexibility for spiral development and induction. Same with spiral evolution of the new structures. Not many times people used to say that, what do you want, tell us. Now we have created this structure and we are looking for the equipment. But the equipment will take its own time. So we are going in for phase 1, phase 2. But we have created this structure so that the industry is aware that what is the overall requirement. The academia is aware that what is the overall research and development requirement. We have created organizations like Rudra, Shaktiban, Divyastra, Bhairav, Ashni, and many more will follow. So what it means, it's already there in the media what it means, but the requirement of equipment is something which we need to jointly work out. Years of technology absorption, 24-25 allowed us to prepare human resource and develop ecosystem for technology upgrade. Capitalizing on this success, years of 26 and 27 are now being declared as years of networking and data centricity. And here again the academia and industry can play a major role. We are harnessing dual use technology and creating convergence by adapting or constantly modifying technology itself and the TTPs, that is techniques, tactics and procedures, and drone warfare is a live example to it. We are already associated in a big way with national technology missions of quantum, space, 6G, etc. for a very collaborative approach. So as a military, we are convinced that for us to succeed, it is imperative to help others. That is imperative to help others to succeed, as in a collaborative environment and whole of nation approach, 2 plus 2 must make it to 22. So in conclusion, the future of war fighting will not be defined by any single domain or doctrine, but by how decisively we convert our ideas into enduring capabilities. Our journey from concept to capability is in truth a journey from dependence to dominance, from preparing for the future to possessing it. For all the leaders in this hall, including me, concepts inspire us, capabilities protect us. It is the leadership which ensures that one becomes the other. Thank you and Jai Hind.